Hey there everybody, this is Caitlin here and welcome to our second video for today. Today in particular it is going to be another Forceful related video, as I was talking about yesterday or whatever. It's going to be basically kind of like a lore slash theory discussion that I wanted to maybe talk about and just like pin my little ideas about it on. Mainly because I love discussing the story of Force of Will. As you guys know, it's one of the main factors that I totally adore about this card game. And one thing in particular I've been thinking about, as we're approaching the end of the Lapis cluster and we're getting ready to say goodbye to all these characters or whatever that we've basically been following since the start of Grimm all the way up leading through Alice to here. And the main thing that I've been thinking about is something that's been kind of like an ongoing arc since the start of basically Alice cluster. And the thing I'm thinking about, which you probably guessed by the title of the video or whatever, is the long-standing fight between Pricia and Valentina. Now, obviously, this kind of kicked off by the time of the Twilight Wanderer, because that's when everything went to hell, essentially. We had Dark Alice show up. Valentina basically betrayed / revealed her true colours to the rest of the Seven Kings, murdering them. Pricia losing her friends, the four sacred beasts or whatever, and basically her revenge fight against Valentina truly begun. And it's been an arc that's kind of spanned over the rest of Alice cluster. We've seen it going into Lapis cluster and all that stuff. So if you are not caught up yet about the kind of inner turmoil between Valentina and Pricia, the main idea here is that obviously since Twilight Wanderer, Valentina showed her true colours, that she wanted to basically take over Ataratica. At the same time, she was kind of not with Gil and Gil Lapis entirely. It's kind of unclear as to what was happening. It's she sided with Dark Alice, and then it was no, I'm siding with Lapis, and then she's oh, I'm in it for myself now, and all this stuff was going on. But Pricia didn't see Dark Alice as her enemy. She saw Valentina as her enemy, the traitor of the Seven Kings and all this stuff. So she got a real vendetta against her. She teamed up with Maribel, the sealed doll, who was basically Mirabella in her machine form. She also teamed up with Xion, who was a native of Shangri-La and basically wanted to overthrow Valentina because she could see that Valentina had become this twisted person that nobody could recognize. You know, she wanted to basically start rebellion in Shangri-La and all that stuff. So the three of them became a trio. They built up their army. They infiltrated Shangri-La, and it seemed as if Pricia won her confrontation with Valentina until it was revealed that Valentina's basically her special gift, her power, so to say, is to possess other people's bodies. And that's when we got an insight into the kind of demon, essentially, that Valentina is, because that's what she's called. She is called a demon in so many iterations. It's basically kind of confirmed whatnot that basically her main power is body hopping. She takes over whatever body she wants or whatever, and it appears as if she's been doing this for many years. The Valentina body that we saw in Seven Kings / Twilight Wanderer for the rest of the Alice cluster is not her original body. For all we know, we don't even know if Valentina is her true name or if that's just some name she's acquired over the long time of her existence or whatever. This is just basically something she's been doing her entire existence. We don't know what the true Valentina actually looked like. We kind of got a glimpse of it in one of the recent lore articles where it was saying that she kind of looked like some kind of smoky black kind of snake looking thing or whatever. But that's basically what she looked like when she was expelled from a body, essentially. So we don't know whether that's actually her true form or just something that she becomes when she is forcefully pushed out of a body that she's possessing at the moment. So end of Alice cluster, it seemed as if Pricia had defeated Valentina, but she used some kind of magic ritual, some kind of thing. She basically, don't know if it was in her last dying moment, she basically dumped from her dying corpse to the new body of Pricia. She expelled Pricia's will from her body, essentially, took her over, and in that new body she killed Xion and turned Xion into a Memoria. Basically that became the remnants of Ataratica Memoria. Then fast forward, Pricia's will, it still existed, apparently, despite Lapis condensing down Ataratica into a regalia. Pricia's will, for some reason, her will stone, lived on. It managed to find Faria, or the spirit of Faria, or even just the memory of her. We're not quite sure exactly what, because that then became Glorious. So the kind of memory of Faria / the shadow of her, I don't know if it was trapped inside Excalibur or something like that, because when she reappeared, she was wielding Excalibur. But basically, Faria took on the will of Pricia. She gained the power of sacred/divine beasts. She got like a body again. She became glorious the Master Crusader/Faria. Took the fight to Valentina, who was now residing in Pricia's body, and was like fighting using the power of illusions with Muzdart and all that. And basically, Faria managed to expel Valentina from Pricia's body. Pricia got her body back at the cost of Faria having to fade away forever. And it now has been confirmed that Valentina is currently residing in Shion's body. Apparently, for some reason, I think it was just assumed that Valentina could only possess living people, but apparently she can now possess dead people, because technically it said that Shion was killed, I'm pretty sure, when Valentina basically stabbed her in the gut. And so basically now Valentina is just living inside Shion's body now. So now it is like kind of like building up to the final confrontation, I feel like, for Pricia and Valentina. Valentina has got Shion's body now. We don't know how far her powers go. Don't know whether it's dependent on the type of body she's in, about what power she can use, or whether she's just capable of using her full power no matter the body. Pricia now has the power of reincarnation. This is like her new kind of like, not, since she doesn't have the power of the sacred beasts, it seems, in this new world, she has the power of reincarnation. She was able to summon Maria Bella, or her heroic spirit, essentially. I think, don't know whether it was just from the remains of Atratica, but I feel like if Valentina hadn't possessed Shion, Pricia would have tried to find a way to bring back at least Shion's spirit, because I feel like she wants to gather like her closest allies towards her. That's why she brought back Mirabelle or whatever. We might see more resonators like tie into Pricia's backstory and whatever in the next set or whatever, the Echoes of the New World. But right now we don't know. But in terms of the final battle, I find it like I'm worried for Pricia, because we know what a monster, what an absolute fiend of a villain Valentina truly is. And, you know, with the knowledge that Valentina can just hop from body to body as she pleases, does this mean she can actually ever be defeated? Because I don't think it's like, right now, it's not really set out like how we defeat Valentina, because at the time we thought, oh, Pricia finally beat her, and then it turns out no, she can possess bodies. So it's just like, how do you defeat something which can just body hop? You would have to try and find a way to contain the actual demon of Valentina. Don't know if she can actually be killed outright, whether she has to be sealed away or something like that. But considering that Pricia's got this new power of reincarnation, don't know whether that exempts her from being possessed again by Valentina. Because Valentina could just see her with this cool, nice new power or whatever and be like, oh, you've got this nice new power, well then when you try to kill me, I'm just going to possess you again and just take this reincarnation power. I'll find a way to use it to my advantage. I'll finally get Alice at long last, because when people first saw the image of the Black Heart Alice, people assumed that that was Valentina possibly finally getting what she wanted. She wanted Alice's body for herself, you know, to possess. And it turns out it's not that. She's corrupted by something else. So that's not what's happening. And obviously, Valentina is not currently possessing Alice, because Alice is stated to be one of the heroes fighting against the great evil in the final part of Lapis Cluster. So in terms of the, like, this is basically the kind of the side story that's going on alongside the fight against Lapis and Gil Al-Hamat. So the side story of whether Pricia and Valentina will finally conclude their battle. Now, in my honest opinion, I feel like it would be good, after this long-standing feud between the two characters, if Pricia finally got her victory. Now, in terms of her finally getting her victory, I feel like, obviously, because we're going to be saying goodbye to all these characters forever, so I don't know whether we're going to have, like, a total wipeout, the world's going to explode or something like that, but I feel like in these final moments of this cluster, it would be really, like, it would be good storytelling, I feel, if Pricia finally got her revenge, like her true revenge against Valentina, this monster that has plagued her existence since she tore her world apart, destroyed her friends and her family and her closest allies, used her body for like the nefarious purposes and all that stuff. I feel like that would be a good conclusion to Pricia's arc. Like, Pricia's arc started with Alice Cluster, and it will probably conclude with Lapis Cluster if she is not the character that is going to be basically jumping into the next cluster. Because we know, Jordan confirmed that at least one character will be at least progressing on to the next stage of the Forcible Universe. And as far as we know, don't know yet, because as I previously talked about before, the possibility that Pricia is actually the traitor that the kind of story summary is alluding to. I can see it potentially happening if that is maybe how Pricia gets her revenge against Valentina. Maybe she actually does side with Lapis Lapis like gives her the ability to like summon all these other reincarnated things. Might be another reason why we might see, I don't know, in terms of like the color support for the last cluster. I don't know whether they're just going to have a huge mix or whether it's all just going to be monocolor that will be able to be splashed into either one of the color decks forever that we have, since we technically have dual colors for every single color now, except for like triple colors or whatever. But in terms of that, I feel like story wise, we could see potentially the side story of Valentina and Pricia kind of merging into the main story of the fight against Alhama and Gil, Lapis actually. So it's just like I'm trying to just get all my ideas out of my head or whatever at the same time, and it's just like I don't know whether Pricia will ever actually manage to defeat Valentina. I mean, I could be wrong. Valentina might actually be the character who survives this whole ordeal, just like, you know, slithers away outside of the body and just like escapes into a new world, because she is a wanderer technically. Like, I'm pretty sure she still counts as a wanderer, even though, like, you know, she's been expelled from Pricia's body, because the entity that is Valentina was the wanderer, not necessarily the body of Pricia. Although I don't know if that means Pricia is a wanderer now as well, because technically her body travelled through the different worlds. So does that mean that Pricia is also technically a wanderer now? It boggles the mind really when you try to keep up with all these terms and all these like races and all this stuff. But in the end, I feel like it would be very satisfying as like a follower of the lore, a reader of the story, if Pricia did manage to defeat Valentina. But it would also validate Valentina as a villain if Valentina actually was the victor in the very bitter end, even after really Pricia has gone through all this loss and turmoil. If like she is in the final like battle, she's defeated once more, once and for all, and Valentina just gets no punishment for what she's done. She escapes. I feel like that wouldn't be the most satisfying answer to the story. I feel like the most satisfying thing would be the conclusion of having Pricia finally defeat her arch nemesis, essentially. Get revenge for her fallen comrades, Shion, Pricia, the four sacred beasts, the other sacred, pardon me, I feel like, I don't know if that was a hiccup or like a yawn or something like that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, getting, basically, revenge for Maribel, for Shion, the sacred beasts, the other seven kings and all that stuff. It would be really satisfying if Pricia managed to, like, come up on trumps, defeat Valentina, and just, like, you know, she's the real true hero of the story or whatever. It's not Lapis, obviously. But those are like just my thoughts anyway, like trying to figure out, can Pricia actually defeat Valentina? Can you defeat something that can just body hop and can never truly die? Is there a way for Valentina to actually truly die? Because we don't really know that yet. It seems like all the answers thus far suggest no, she can just infinitely jump into bodies as long as there's like a host nearby. We don't actually know the condition in which she body hops, because as far as I know, Pricia was totally fine and whatever when she defeated her. It doesn't say that they need to be like in a weakened state or they need to be like dropping their guard or something like that. Not quite sure how the mechanics of her body snatching works. It's probably a really simple answer actually. I probably should just like jump into one of the Forceful live streams and just ask Jordan at some point, just like, hey, how does this work? And then I'll know the answers and I can discuss it further. Hopefully I can stay up late enough because the live streams are like 1 in the morning or something at like the UK time. But I've been rambling on for long enough for this video, guys. I've just been wanting to get these thoughts out in my head so that we can discuss it in terms of like what I think about it, what do you guys think about it, and then we can like collaborate essentially together through the comments and your opinions about how this story is to conclude. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for this video today. Be sure to leave a comment down below. What do you think about the ongoing battle between Pricia and Valentina? Who do you think will be the victor in the very end? Will Pricia be triumphant? Will Valentina reign supreme? Or will it just be a stalemate and they'll just eventually destroy one another? Be sure to check my Patreon if you're interested in bonus content. I will be having a deck profile video up on the Patreon in particular for a sealed deck that I made for a particular sealed tournament that I played at my locals. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, like seeing how I draft or how I do sealed stuff or whatever, and see what like my thought process about it, be sure to check that out down below. You can even just like see that for as little as $1 a month. That's like, I do it by monthly basis, not by video as some people maybe thought before, but it's per month, and it's, you know, as little as $1 you get that bonus content and everything like that. So until next time, guys, I will see you all later.